You know, whenever there's an aviation accident, it makes global headlines. But have you ever wondered what actually happens behind closed doors once the cameras leave? How does the global aviation community take a horrific tragedy and learn from it so it never, ever happens again? Well, today we are diving into this explainer to decode a pretty fascinating, highly structured set of rules called Icao Annex 13. We're going to completely demystify the intense behind-the-scenes processes of international accident investigations.
Okay, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the draft consultation phase, the strict 12-month deadline, global data sharing, how safety recommendations are actually issued, and finally, the ultimate goal of all of this, prevention.
Let's jump right into part 1, the draft consultation phase, which happens strictly behind closed doors. So what's really wild about this very first phase is the intense level of secrecy. The state that's actually conducting the investigation, they hold all the keys. Under some incredibly strict rules, no other state involved is allowed to leak, circulate, or publish the draft report, or literally any part of it, without explicit express consent. It is completely locked down.
The legal weight behind this process is massive. According to Chapter 6 of the regulations, this draft has to be reviewed in absolute confidence. And you know, this isn't just a polite request from one country to another. It's a rigid international standard. But here's the catch. Secrecy doesn't mean they're working in a vacuum. The investigating state actually has to invite feedback.
During this consultation phase, a copy of that highly confidential draft is sent to some very specific key players. We're talking about the state of registry, the operator state, the state of design, and the state of manufacture. The whole goal here is to invite their significant and substantiated comments. So basically, the people who designed the plane, built it, operate it, and regulate it all get to do a high-stakes peer review before any of the findings go public.
Which brings us to part 2, the 12-month deadline, or what I like to call the ticking clock.
Now, obviously, being thorough is crucial, but so is timeliness. 30 days. That's it. That is the exact window those recipient states have from the moment they get the transmittal correspondence to actually provide their comments on the draft. It creates this really tight, highly structured feedback loop. If they drag their feet and don't reply within 30 days, the investigating state can just say, all right, time's up, and move forward with issuing the final report.
And that 30-day window, that's just part of a much larger countdown. To stop investigations from just dragging on in secrecy for years and years, Annex 13 sets a hard 12-month goal. The aim is to make the final report publicly available within exactly 1 year of the accident. But, you know, some investigations are incredibly complex. So if they miss that deadline, the rules actually mandate that a public interim statement has to be published on every single anniversary of the crash, detailing exactly what progress has been made and any safety issues they've found so far.
The regulations explicitly push for transparency here. In the interest of accident prevention, that final report has to be released with minimum delay. And interestingly, they clarify that just posting it on the internet totally counts as making it publicly available. You don't need some fancy hard copy publication. The bottom line is that the flying public and the aviation industry must be kept in the loop.
All right, moving on to part 3, global data sharing, or feeding the machine.
So how exactly does the data from all these individual reports get distributed globally so we can actually spot international trends? Well, they don't just dump every minor fender bender into the international database. There's a very specific weight threshold. The international body, Icao, only requires preliminary reports for aircraft that weigh over 2,250 kilograms. If a plane is under that weight, the report goes to the relevant states, sure, but it's not automatically forwarded to Icao. It's a really smart way to filter the data and focus on globally relevant aircraft.
On top of that, Chapter 7 mandates that this accident or incident data report has to be dispatched fast, specifically within 30 days of the accident. This guarantees that the global safety database is updated super promptly, which means other nations are made aware of any potential widespread issues almost immediately.
Now, what if we're not talking about a full-blown accident, but just an incident? You know, a close call. For mere incidents, that reporting threshold actually jumps way up. An incident data report only has to be sent to Icao if the aircraft involved weighs over 5,700 kilograms. Once again, this filters the noise, making sure the global accident prevention studies are hyper-focused on significant commercial or transport category aircraft.
Let's dive into part 4, issuing safety recommendations. This is absolutely the ultimate payoff.
Everything we've talked about so far, the secret drafts, the ticking clocks, the data sharing, it is all about one thing:
turning what we've learned into actionable recommendations. The rules literally state that at any stage of the investigation, preventive action should be recommended. This is huge. It proves that safety simply cannot wait for the final paperwork to be signed. If an investigator uncovers a fatal flaw on day 2 of a 12-month investigation, they are mandated to issue safety recommendations right then and there.
And when one of those recommendations is made, it absolutely cannot be ignored. There's this rigorous, step-by-step accountability loop. Step 1. The investigating state proposes a safety recommendation. Step 2. The receiving state has exactly 90 days to formally report back on the preventive action they've taken, what they're considering doing, or, and this is key, they have to explicitly state the reasons why no action will be taken. Then, Step 3. They have to actually implement procedures to monitor the progress of those safety actions.
This right here is where you really see the teeth behind these regulations. Section 6.10 literally bakes this mandatory 90-day response window right into international law. It holds nations legally accountable. You either take action to fix the safety flaw, or you formally, publicly explain exactly why you won't. There is zero room for complacency here.
It is also absolutely crucial that the safety messaging is unified. Before anything is finalized, coordinating these draft safety recommendations is essential. Why? Because you often have multiple different states participating in one investigation. Coordinating them completely avoids the danger of putting out conflicting recommendations. It basically ensures that the entire global aviation community is speaking with one crystal clear voice on how to fix a problem.
And finally, we arrive at part 5, the ultimate goal, which is, of course, prevention.
So how do all these strict deadlines, massive data reports, and 90-day recommendations actually feed into that ultimate objective? Well, it all funnels into this massive, highly organized memory bank. Chapter 8 of Annex 13 demands that states establish and maintain accident and incident databases. And we're not just talking about filing away old paperwork in a dusty cabinet. This is designed specifically to facilitate the effective, ongoing analysis of actual or potential safety deficiencies.
By compiling every single preliminary report, every final report, and all those 90-day recommendation responses into these comprehensive systems, the global aviation network becomes incredibly proactive. They can constantly analyze the safety data, figure out what preventative actions are required, and ensure the prompt exchange of this safety info across the globe. This is exactly how the industry identifies potential safety issues long before they line up to cause the next crash.
It truly is a remarkable system when you realize the sheer scale of the highly regulated machinery working tirelessly behind the scenes to squeeze every single drop of knowledge out of every mistake. It's pretty awe-inspiring. By turning tragedy into actionable, globally shared data, it leaves us with one really powerful question to consider. If every single accident report directly reshapes our global safety database, just how much safer will tomorrow's skies be? Thanks so much for exploring this with me today.